Who hasn't felt that way? Fascinated by the grandeur of royalty, its history, and of course, its secrets. Royal families, especially the British monarchy, have existed for centuries, accumulating stories that would give you goosebumps. While some secrets remain firmly locked away in the vaults of the palaces, others have managed to slip out in whispers and hushed conversations. Are you curious? Well, who wouldn't today? Let's take a look at some of these dark secrets that the royals would probably wish stayed in the shadows. Join us as we take a look at 20 dark secrets of the royal family. Number 1. Forbidden romances. Throughout history, the royal heart has rarely been left to its own devices. Love is a big mess. Love is a big mess. Often considered a secondary consideration to politics and duty, he sometimes dared to force his way into the foreground, causing scandals that resonated in the corridors of Los Palacios. Consider King Edward VIII, who abdicated his throne for Wallis Simpson, an American divorcee. Their romance was so controversial that it literally transformed the British monarchy. There is also the tragic love story of Princess Mary with Peter Townsend, a divorced war hero. Despite their deep affection, social expectations and the church's stance on remarriage had forced them apart. These romances, full of passion and defiance, remind us that even in the grand tapestry of history, the heart wants what the heart wants. Number 2. Financial shenanigans. Economic matters can be complicated, and when mixed with the opulence of royal living, they can verge on scandalous tales of royalty. Extravagant spending sometimes comes under public scrutiny, leading many to wonder what the true cost of a monarch's whims really is. Extravagant spending faces scrutiny over costs like renovations, jewelry, and parties. This makes many wonder what the true cost of a monarch's whims really is. For example, there has been surprising spending on renovations, palaces, jewelry purchases, and even lavish parties. There have also been rumors of unrecorded accounts and non-transparent financial transactions. Although cloaked in a cloak of majesty, these fiscal follies serve as a reminder that when it comes to money, not even royalty is immune to a little mischief. Number 3. Mysterious disappearances. The annals of royal history are filled with tales of mysterious disappearances that leave everyone speculating and often shuddering at the possible truths. Edward V. They shudder at the possible truths. Edward V and his younger brother, Edward, are perhaps the most unsettling of these stories. Entrusted to the Tower of London by their uncle, the future Edward III, these young boys simply vanished. Rumors of murder have persisted for centuries. But the true fate of these princes remains one of the darkest enigmas in history. In Europe, it was believed that Grand Duchess Anastasia of Russia, daughter of Tsar Nicholas II, escaped her family's murder, though later discredited. These stories fueled global imagination. Such disappearances intrigue historians and enthusiasts, inviting them to unravel mysteries royalty might prefer unsolved. And these disappearances have wrapped layers of intrigue that continue to attract historians and enthusiasts alike, inviting them to unravel mysteries that royalty might prefer to keep unsolved. Number 4. The name change to Windsor. The turbulence of World War I brought more than just political and geographical changes. It transformed royal identities. Amid the anti-German sentiment, King George V found himself in an awkward position carrying the name of the House of Saxe. Kopak. Drop. That sounded very German. Public relations, as you can imagine, were a nightmare, but the solution was a rebranding of royal proportions. In 1917, the king declared that his house and family would be known as Windsor. Inspired by the iconic Windsor Castle, this wasn't just a cosmetic change. In 1917, the king had declared that his house and family would be known as Windsor. Inspired by the iconic Windsor Castle, this was not just a cosmetic change, but rather a strategic measure that reflected the monarchy's desire to appear more British and, fundamentally, to distance itself from German ties during wartime. Since then, the name has become synonymous with the British royal family, showing that sometimes change can be both necessary and lasting. Number 5. Hidden illnesses and conditions. Royal blood doesn't guarantee immunity from the full spectrum of human diseases, and sometimes, the weight of the crown comes with more than just diplomatic responsibility. In the days when monarchies ruled with an iron fist, showing vulnerability could spell disaster. Maybe that's why the decline of King George III's mental health was shrouded in so much secrecy. It was surrounded by so much secrecy. There were whispers about his unpredictable behavior and episodes of madness, and many believed he suffered from a genetic disorder. There's also Queen Victoria, a carrier of the hemophilia gene, a disease that spread to several royal families across Europe. Throughout her descendants, which led to it being called the royal disease. Throughout her descendants, which led to it being called the royal disease. Whether to maintain the illusion of invisibility or to avoid public panic, these health issues were often carefully hidden behind the palace walls, leaving the public with just mere fragments of the complete picture. Number 6. Royal relationships with controversial figures. Members of the royal family, with their vast networks and influence, have sometimes found themselves rubbing elbows with some pretty unsavory characters. Maybe one of the most surprising relationships was that of the Duke of Windsor, formerly known as King Edward VIII, and Adolf Hitler. The photographs of the Duke meeting with Hitler in 1937, after his abdication, raised more than a few alarms. The nature of their relationship has long been the subject of speculation, leading many to question the Duke's loyalty during a tumultuous period. Then there's Prince Andrew's association with financier Jeffrey Epstein, which caused a media frenzy in recent years. Throughout history, these associations, whether born out of naivety or strategy, have served as harsh reminders of the complex web of relationships that royal members often find themselves caught in, like 7 palace prisoners. Number 7. The resplendent grandeur of Los Palacios. With its imposing towers and ornate halls, it often hides stories darker than any gloomy fairy tale. Throughout history, these majestic houses have not only been places of residence, but for some unfortunate souls, they have become prisons. One of the most tragic stories is that of Mary, Queen of Scots. After a series of political blunders and conspiracies, she found herself imprisoned for nearly 2 decades in various English castles, to ultimately meet her end at the executioner's scaffold. Then there's Princess Isabel, the future Queen Elizabeth, who was placed under house arrest at Woodstock Manor, suspected of conspiring against her sister, Queen Mary. The confines of these royal residences, despite all their opulence, have sometimes turned into gilded cages. A harsh reminder that power and vulnerability often go hand in hand. Number 8. Scandalous letters and diaries. The allure of a sealed envelope with the royal seal or the forbidden pages of a monarch's diary. Over the years, the written word has cast shadows over the throne at times. The charm of a sealed envelope bearing the royal insignia or the forbidden pages of a monarch's diary. Over the years, the written word has cast shadows over the throne at times. King Edward VIII's love letters to Wallis Simpson reveal a depth of passion that many believe destabilized the monarchy. A few decades later, the leaked intimate transcripts of conversations between Prince Charles and Camilla caused quite a stir in the royal family. And let's not forget the published diaries of Tsar Nicholas II, which provide insight into the personal torments of the last Russian Tsar. Every page, every word. It was a testament to eternal power of ink and secrets. Number 9. Bitter family disputes framed in gold by royal portraits. Beneath the serene faces, tensions and rivalries often lurk. The monarchy, despite its ceremonial unity, has not been immune to intense family disputes. Beneath the serene faces, tensions and rivalries often lurk. The monarchy, despite its ceremonial unity, has not been immune to intense family disputes. Let's take the Plantagenet dynasty as an example. King John's rebellion against his own brother, Richard the Lionheart, is the stuff of legends. If we go into the Tudor era, we find that the infamous tensions between Mary I and her half-sister Elizabeth were rooted in religious differences and political ambitions. More recently, rumors of a rift between Prince William and Harry have dominated headlines, reminding us that royal disagreements are nothing new, just a relic of the past. These family conflicts, often overshadowed by public duties, serve as a powerful reminder that, after all, royal members are bound by the fragilities of human relationships. These family conflicts, often overshadowed by public duties, serve as a powerful reminder that, after all, royal members are bound by the fragilities of human relationships. Number 10. Royal exiles. The heavy crown can sometimes be unbearable. They serve as a powerful reminder that, after all, royal members are bound by the fragilities of human relationships. Number 10. Royal exiles. The heavy crown can sometimes be unbearable, and the ultimate punishment for a royal family member is exile. King James II was forced to flee England, overthrown by his own daughter, Mary, and her husband, William. And on the other side of the English Channel, the French Revolution. He had sent Louis and Marie Antoinette to their terrible fate, while their surviving relatives found refuge in foreign lands. Number 11. Real, questionable behaviors. Real life, with its tapestry of duties and traditions, often leaves little room for transgression. However, now and then, members of the monarchy have acted in ways that have raised suspicions and, at times, public outrage. Prince Harry's youthful exploits, including an infamous Las Vegas incident and wearing a Nazi costume to a party, certainly shook up the tabloids. And then there is Princess Mary, known for her glamorous and sometimes scandalous lifestyle. Sometimes at odds with the more conservative royal image, who could forget Prince Andrew's association with Jeffrey Epstein. That led to a cascade of accusations and questionable claims. All of these moments of royal impropriety, ranging from youthful indiscretion to serious controversy, highlight the constant scrutiny royals face and the challenges of navigating a life in the spotlight. Number 12. Wallis Simpson's romance has ignited wars, inspired epics, and in one particular case, led a king to abdicate his throne. When King Edward VIII, a British monarch with all the attributes of power, fell deeply in love with Wallis Simpson, an American divorcee, the foundations of the monarchy began to shake. An American divorcee, the foundations of the monarchy began to shake. Their relationship, considered highly inappropriate and unacceptable to the Church of England, culminated in a constitutional crisis. Edward abdicated the throne with an emotional speech, choosing love over duty, stating he couldn't reign without the woman he loved. His personal story had political ramifications, highlighting the clash between private desires and public duty in the royal kingdom. Had political ramifications and also highlighted the clash between private desires and public duty in the royal kingdom. Number 13. Rumors of secret offspring. Rumors of hidden heirs and secret descendants of the crown heirs swirl around royal families, adding a touch of intrigue to an already complex lineage. One of the most persistent rumors revolves around King Charles II. Adding a touch of intrigue to an already complex lineage. One of the most persistent rumors revolves around King Charles II, who, despite a plethora of acknowledged illegitimate children, is rumored to have fathered even more in secret. In more contemporary times, rumors have persisted that Prince Albert V, Hector, grandson of Queen Victoria, had a secret son before his premature death. Although concrete evidence often proves elusive, the idea that there might be a clandestine royal offspring among us makes us ponder a what if. Both history buffs and romantics wonder how different the course of history would be if these rumors turned out to be true. Number 14. Crown jewels and their dark stories. Both history buffs and romantics wonder how different the course of history would be if these rumors turned out to be true. Number 14. Crown jewels and their dark stories. The crown jewels, with their dazzling splendor, symbolize the majesty and history of the British monarchy. However, behind the shine of some pieces lies a story of conquest, theft, and intrigue. The diamond, which is now set in the Queen Mother's crown, has a tumultuous past, originating in India. It's said that this gem brings bad luck to any man who wears it, which is why only royal women wear it. Number 15. The Lost Princess. When you dive into the annals of British royal history, the enigmatic life of Princess Louise, the fourth daughter of Queen Victoria, often emerges as a story filled with intrigue and speculation. The princess's life was anything but conventional. Famous for her beauty and artistic talent, she was considered the most bohemian of all of Victoria's children. While other members of the royal family strictly adhered to protocols and duty, Louise leaned towards the arts, sculpting and maintaining connections with the intellectual and artistic circles of London. But it wasn't just her passion for the arts that got people talking. Rumors about her romances, secrets, and alleged affairs filled her life. The rumors, although largely unfounded, link her to peers, artists, and even her own brother's tutor. Then there's the mystery of her marriage. Her union with the Marquis of Lorne, later Duke of Argyll, in 1871. Revolutionary Maria. It was rare for a royal princess to marry a subject. Historians noted camaraderie, sparking private life speculation. A secret child claim, decades posthumous, solidified her mysterious status. Scarce evidence keeps intrigue alive. But what really cemented her place in the annals of mysterious royalty was the claim that she had fathered a secret child out of wedlock, a story that came to light decades after her death. While evidence is sparse and often anecdotal, the mere possibility has remained. Long live history. The royal archives, notably secretive. As for Louise, they have only added to her mystery, and several documents related to her remain sealed. This leads many to wonder what they might be hiding. Number 17. Royal residences with disturbing stories. For centuries, the grandeur of royal residences has captivated our collective imagination. However, behind the golden doors and towering spires, many of these houses have legends that are as unsettling as they are fascinating. It has captivated our collective imagination. However, behind the golden doors and towering spires, many of these houses have legends that are as unsettling as they are fascinating. The Tower of London, the most famous of them all, holds chilling stories within its cold walls that date back centuries. It is said that the apparition of Anne Boleyn, the unfortunate queen who was beheaded on her husband's orders, roams through the gardens. Her spectral figure has been spotted in the chapel where she was buried. King Henry VIII wanders through its gardens. Her spectral figure was discovered in the chapel where she was buried. Some even claim to have seen her hauntingly holding her own severed head. Hampton Court Palace is no stranger to ghost stories. Catherine Howard, another of Henry's condemned wives, is said to have been Rhonda. The hallways and her ghostly screams echo as she runs, reliving her last desperate plea for mercy. It is also said that the Grey Lady of Hampton Court, believed to be Sybil Penn, a servant and nurse to Elizabeth, haunts the gardens ever since her grave was disturbed during renovations. And Holyrood Palace in Scotland offers another unsettling story. Here, it is said that the ghost of Mary, Queen of Scots, and her private secretary David Rizzio, who met a violent end at the hands of jealous conspirators, haunts the chambers, a spectral reminder of the palace's turbulent past. Here, it is said that the ghost of Mary, Queen of Scots, and her private secretary David Rizzio, who met a violent end at the hands of jealous conspirators, haunts the chambers, a spectral reminder of the palace's turbulent past. Then there's Windsor Castle, the largest and oldest inhabited castle in the world. Wanders the halls, a spectral reminder of the palace's turbulent past. Then there's Windsor Castle, the largest and oldest inhabited castle in the world. Residents and visitors alike have reported seeing the ghost of Queen Elizabeth I. Her unmistakable figure and majestic stride are recognized as she wanders through the historic halls of the castle. These royal residences, no matter how magnificent and opulent they may be, remind us that they are also repositories of history, passion, betrayal, and tragedy. Their unsettling stories are eternal testimonies of the lives, loves, and losses that once filled their rooms, leaving an impact not just on the stone and wood, but on the very fabric of time. Their haunting stories are timeless testaments to the lives, loves, and losses that once filled their rooms, leaving an impact not only on the stone and wood, but on the very fabric of time. Issue 18, Royal Curses, the intertwining of royalty and supernatural lore has been a timeless fascination. Among the countless tales that add color to royal stories, the accounts of curses that befell dynasties or individual members stand out, offering a chilling mix of fate and mystery. Perhaps the most famous of these is the Curse of the Pharaohs. After the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb in the 1920s, several members of the archaeological team and others faced premature deaths. They faced premature deaths, or misfortunes that led many to believe they had been struck down by an ancient Egyptian curse. For desecrating the final resting place of the young pharaoh, the Habsburgs, once a powerful royal dynasty, are said to have been cursed by a monk whom they had expelled from their monastery. Supposedly, the curse. It ensured that the Habsburgs would never rule Europe, and while they held significant power, the dynasty met a tragic end in the 20th century with the deaths of Crown Prince Rudolf and then Archduke Franz Ferdinand. What triggered World War I? The Romanovs of Russia didn't escape their fate. The mystical Rasputin, shortly before his death, supposedly predicted the downfall of the ruling family. Tragically, the entire family was executed in 1918, bringing an end to a 300-year-old dynasty. He supposedly predicted the downfall of the ruling family. Tragically, the entire family was executed in 1918, bringing an end to a 300-year-old dynasty. The British monarchy is not immune to stories of curses. A legend speaks of the curse of the white ship that sank in 1120, and on which was traveling the only legitimate son of Henry I. The disaster will lead to a secession crisis and years of civil war, which is said to have been the result of a curse pronounced by a clergyman whom Henry had offended. Although skeptics dismissed these as mere coincidence or invention, the allure of the stories cannot be denied, whether they are myths or reality, royal curses. They serve as compelling reminders of the delicate balance between power, fate, and the inexplicable forces that some believe have shaped the course of history. Number 19. Real controversial deaths. The history of royalty has seen its fair share of premature deaths. Some wrapped in layers of mystery, speculation, and sometimes pure controversy. These deaths have echoed through time and resonate with stories of power plays, dark secrets, and sometimes the tragic consequence of being born in the spotlight. The princes in the Tower, Edward V, and his younger brother, Edward, stand out as one of the most unsettling mysteries in history. Confident in the supposed safety of the Tower of London, these young heirs vanished without a trace. Suspicion fell on his ambitious uncle, Edward III. Were they murdered for their rise to the throne? Or is there another chapter of the story that hasn't been told yet? King George against death, apparently natural. It was later revealed to be something more orchestrated. His doctor would admit to having administered a lethal cocktail of medications with the aim of ensuring that the king's death would be announced in the prestigious morning newspapers, rather than in the less dignified evening ones. The ethical dilemmas that arise from this revelation continue to spark debate and reflection. Another royal death shrouded in suspicion is that of Amy Robsart, the wife of Queen Elizabeth's favorite, Robert Dudley. Her sudden and mysterious death, found at the foot of a staircase, gave rise to sinister rumors. Rumors had it that Dudley was ambitious enough to marry the Queen. Her unfortunate end paved the way, but the scandal that followed ultimately dashed his hopes. And then there's Mary, Queen of Scots, who met her end in a collapse, with a death sentence signed by her own cousin, Queen Elizabeth I. Although some justified it politically due to the alleged conspiracies of Mary against Elizabeth, it remains a tragic and controversial episode, tinged with family betrayal. Catherine of Bourbon, Parma. The last Empress of Austria and Queen of Hungary often recounted the controversial death of her husband, Emperor Charles I, who officially succumbed to pneumonia. It was rumored that he had been poisoned, and many pointed to political adversaries who had deemed the emperor's peace initiatives during World War I as treasonous. These controversial real deaths serve as painful reminders of the double-edged sword that is real life. On one hand, there's luxury, privilege, and adoration, and on the other, vulnerability, constant scrutiny, and sometimes, lurking danger that often comes from the least expected places. The annals of history, when looked at closely, through the lens of these mysterious deaths, they take on a darker and more complex tone, and infinitely more intriguing. Number 20. The Battle for the Throne. The coveted royal throne, which symbolizes supreme authority and divine right, has often been at the center of a fierce struggle. Political maneuvers and violent confrontations. The history of royalty is filled with tales of disputed ascents. Rivalries between siblings and challenges from those who believed they had more right to the crown. The rise to the throne was rarely a peaceful affair. It was a path often riddled with betrayal, cunning, and sometimes sheer force. Each contest, though unique, in its drama, it underscored a universal truth. The royal crown, while a symbol of authority and prestige, also carries the weight of sacrifice. The strategy and relentless ambition of those who believe their destiny is to wear it,